New Zealand are on a high. They've beaten Australia for the first time in T20Is in Australia. Now they are firm favourites, you think, at the back of that result to do well in this group. Up next is an Afghanistan side that suffered a defeat to England on the same day in the Super 12s. So let's look ahead to that game on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. We'll hear from Tom Moody in just a moment. First up, Anil Kumble with me. Let's talk about a spinner. You always enjoy that. Mitchell Santner's our talking point here, Anil, because we were focusing on Finn Allen and Devon Conway in the last game. Santner with 3 wickets ensured it wasn't even a contest in the chase. Are you expecting Mitch Santner to play a big part for New Zealand in this World Cup? Not a lot of spotlight goes to a player like him.
I think he was very impressive in that game. It was a high-scoring game from a chase perspective. 200 runs when you require, and the kind of lineup that Australia have. I thought he assessed the conditions really well and slowed things up. I mean, we know Mitchell Santner literally bowls at around 90 kilometers, 94 kilometers, sometimes even quicker. He slowed things up to an extent where it was almost 74, 75 kilometers per hour, and that I thought was very impressive, because the control that he had, it was not easy to hit. You could see that the batters had to literally second guess and then try and hit him, and that's how he picked up 3 wickets. So it was very impressive. I think one thing that New Zealand certainly do well is assess conditions. And Santner, I thought, bowled brilliantly against Australia.
It's curious we're picking up a player like Santner here in their second game, Tom, but he is also a curious left-arm spinner. If you bring up the numbers, he's one of the few left-arm spinners whose economy rate doesn't necessarily drop, whether he's bowling to left-arm or left-hand or right-hand batters. Just wonder what makes Mitchell Santner click. He doesn't seem to be one of those pure match-up left-arm spinners.
Yeah, look, I think he's a very, very clever bowler. And as Anil sort of alluded to, I think his key to his success is his subtlety of change of pace. We take ourselves back to the great left armour from New Zealand, Dan Vettori. Very similar, not a big turner of the ball, but very clever with his adjustment of pace. So from a batting perspective, it just makes it very hard to line bowlers like that up. And I think when they're playing Sodhi as well, it complements the more attacking style leg break bowler that Sodhi is, where you've got that sort of more reliable is probably not the right word, but more of a defensive style spinner that Santner is. So I think they have got that balance quite nicely positioned at the moment. When they've also got that sort of new ball experience of Southee and Bolt.
All right, quickly on Afghanistan, Tom. I mean, we bring up some numbers for Hazratullah Zazai, who's been struggling. It's not like they've got a lot of batters in great form. Gurbaz is a key player. He struggles against left-arm spin, so watch out for that matchup. But in that last game, were you also a bit felt it was a bit mean for whoever made those fixture lists to give Afghanistan their first game against England at Perth? Now they go to the MCG. What would you like to say the Afghanistan batting approach to what are obviously tough and alien conditions for them? They've never even played T20I cricket in this part of the world before this World Cup.
Yeah, look, I watched them in a practice match up in Brisbane. It's not only Perth where the ball's going to bounce and have some pace. Brisbane's the same. We saw the game against India-Pakistan. It certainly was a good bouncy, quick wicket there. So when you're playing a World Cup in foreign soil, you've got to accept that, most venues are going to be challenging to you. But I think where Afghanistan need to make a slight adjustment, particularly their top order batsmen, is trust their technique a little bit more. They seem to be not trusting their technique and getting out of the line of the ball and really just playing big shots that you would normally play on more docile surfaces where the ball's not going to bounce. So they've got to get themselves more in line, trust their technique, and trust the fact they can score from those strong positions.
Whether we see the bounce or not at the MCG, Anil, that India-Pakistan game showed us the ball can still do plenty. Is this going to be, again, a challenge too far for Afghanistan against New Zealand?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was plenty of swing. So if we see swing, then Southee and Bolt will be very dangerous. And it's going to be a challenge for Afghanistan to put it across New Zealand. New Zealand, we have seen, are pretty clinical in the way they go about. Yeah. And they have the experience, and also they play spin better now. I mean, what they used to. Conway batted brilliantly. Yeah. Williamson literally plays Rashid and Mujib every single day in the IPL, so he should be knowing them. So it's all about handling the situation and assessing conditions, which I said New Zealand certainly do better.
They're strong favourites. Big thank you to Anil Kumble and Tom Moody. It doesn't look like there's going to be a close one between New Zealand and Afghanistan, but the World Cup tends to throw some surprises. Let's see how this game goes. Join us for build up to it on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket 40 T20 Timeout.